Going live. All right. So I believe we have a whole bunch of people already online. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. I am Becky Tangwell with I Take the Lead, and we are the host of the networking webinar. When we have one, it's on Tuesdays, 2 o'clock Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern time, but we do get people from all over around the world, literally, who either register to get the replay, or sometimes they sneak out of bed in the middle of the night and listen to the webinar live. So I just wanted to, hi Joel, thanks for letting us know that you're there. I just want to make sure everybody is able to hear me. And it takes a minute. So if everybody would let me know. Marilyn's usually on here. So Marilyn, if you're there, will you let me know you can hear me? Or Joel, just let me know you can hear me. I'm excited that we're going to have Ronnie Noize with us today. But before I introduce Ronnie and ask her a couple questions before she starts, I just want to make a couple announcements. Number one, for our members, the reason we kind of dropped back on having the networking webinars, we started webinars online for our members only, for I Take the Lead members only. Good. Okay, Mark says good. Thank you, Mark. And so for members, thanks Phyllis, thanks Anna, thanks everybody for letting me know. Aloha from Charlie. Wow, look at everybody. We've got Renee's, yes. Michael Chase says good. Allison, yes. Thanks everybody. I appreciate that. Anyway, the next membership, it's training. It's not for new members. It's for all I Take the Lead members. If you want to learn how to make I Take the Lead work for you, some of you have belonged to other leads groups before, and you'll notice that I Take the Lead is different. So we try to teach you how to network. We try to teach you how to make I Take the Lead work for you. One of the ways is through the networking webinars, like Ronnie is our speaker today. However, that's open to the public. So we started the other webinars. They're just little short sound bites, little half hour at a time. You can register if you're busy at that time and get the replay, but we encourage you to participate and take advantage of that. The next one will be Wednesday, May 27th. You all should have the announcements. It's going to be 2:30 Pacific time, and that's 3:30 Central time. So for our members in Denver, it's going to be 3:30 your time. It'll go to roughly around 4. And here in Portland, in Mesa, and in Seattle, it will go to about 3. So be sure and email me if you are not getting your announcements. I'm in charge of now sending the announcements. I want to let you know that they're going to be coming to everybody now through MailChimp, so you won't get them directly from me. There's no sound audio. Charlie, okay, Charlie, oh, I'll email him. So anyway, so I just wanted to make those announcements. Becky at itakethelead.com. If you have questions about I Take the Lead, if you're a member, if you are not getting announcements or have any other, anything else you want to ask. So with that, I am really excited to have Ronnie speak today. Ronnie Noize, Veronica with a K, Noize with a Z, is a marketing coach. She's now the founder of DIY Marketing Center. She was voted here in the Portland metro area one of the top 100 most, what's the word, influential women. Was it just women, Ronnie?
Yes, it was just women.
Women here in the Portland, Vancouver area. And some of you have heard of Arlene Schnitzer, but she was right up there with Arlene Schnitzer. So that always amazes me that one of my great friends is that popular and that successful. So anyway, Ronnie had started speaking at our groups, I don't know, what, 11 years ago, wouldn't it be? Or
yes, it would
maybe.
be. So 10 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, and her first presentation, she shared how she built her business. And so that's her story today. She's going to share, she shares specific of a specific system, specific tools. And I know Jean and I both, everywhere we go, we really encourage our members to pay attention to Ronnie, because she's just amazing. And what I've seen our members use her system, but they don't follow it to the T. So my advice to all of you, when Ronnie teaches this to you, follow everything exactly. Because if you try to take shortcuts, you're not gonna have the success that you want. But Ronnie literally built her business from 0 to full in 42 days to the day. So with that, I'm just going to introduce Ronnie, and before she starts, I want to ask her a couple questions. But let's give Ronnie a warm welcome. I know you're all clapping for her, so Ronnie,
Thank you.
thank you. Well, before you start sharing your, you could start the screen share anytime. But I just want to ask you. I noticed, because I'm on your DIY marketing center meetup, I noticed that you have a couple meetings coming up, and I will get both of them out on the Vancouver meetup, but I can't get them in the announcements because they fluctuate with other I Take the Lead meetings. But you have your Rockstar networking workshop coming up, and
Yes,
when
I
is
do.
that?
That is on Thursday, May 28th, from noon until 2 p.m. right here in downtown Vancouver. And my office is located inside the Greater Vancouver Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, and if our members, like we might even get members from, I'll tell you what, folks, for all of you in Seattle, it would be worth you all coming down, carpooling or whatever it takes to make it. Although she has limited space, they can get a discount. But what is the normal rate for the members, for the non-members?
Well, you know, I got to tell you, Becky, I'm a little ashamed to say it's only $29.
Oh, well, oh, you're kidding. Oh, my word.
I want this training to be so low cost that there is no reason for people not to do it.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
It's very low cost, but it is very intense as well as very high value. That's one of the things that I do, is I promise not to waste anybody's time when they come into a training. So we get started and we just zip through those 2 hours, and it's a lot of fun, and it's very, very, very valuable, but only if you want to attract more clients in your networking, if you want to build your business and become a networking rock star.
Right.
Now, for I Take the Lead members, though, there is a coupon code. It's not even $29. It's only $19 for I Take the Lead members.
Oh, so they get $10 off. And I have the coupon code. So if they email me, they can get that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Very, very, very good. Well, that's perfect. And then you also have, for your DIY marketing center, you have it's a 9:30 a.m. It's open to the public. Now, what is that?
Yes, on Friday, the 22nd of May, I have it's the DIY overview and orientation. And it was designed to help get our members familiar with all of the services that we offer, so that they can take advantage of the information-packed website and all the programs that we have. But I've noticed that people who were just wondering whether or not they can get something out of the DIY Marketing Center are showing up, and it's been a great thing, because we talk about what it takes to build your business, and a bunch of other really important business building and marketing tips happen within that meeting. And it's a lot of things, but it is not a sales pitch.
Nice. Okay. Charlie says, "Clap, clap, clap." That's funny. A lot of these people on here have been on several of the webinars. Well, good, Charlie. I know you're going to make Ronnie's superstar or rockstar networking, which he's having it. So you check, because Charlie's up in the Renton area. I'm sure he'll get a carpool coming down to visit. So remember to email me, I Take the Lead members, so you can get the code, and I'll go ahead and get that to you. Well, thanks, Ronnie. Thanks for sharing. And so at this point, why don't I just turn it over to you? I will be, if you have questions, I am going to be I'll be turning off my sound some of the time while I'm emailing, um, responding, so it doesn't make a lot of noise with my typing. But go ahead and ask me questions. And if it's relevant to what Ronnie's talking about right then, I might even stop Ronnie right there and ask her. And if not, we should have time at the end for questions. So thanks, Ronnie. I'll let you take it over.
Thank you very much, Becky. I'm just thrilled too. So here is the first thing that I want to talk about is what is networking. So a lot of people say networking is meeting a lot of people and making a lot of sales, and quite frankly, that's not true whatsoever. Networking is the process of connecting, and I say it's to serve, share, and support. It is not a sales process. Now, the good news is that the better you are at networking, the more sales are you're going to get, but you will be attracting sales, not chasing them. Now, you might think that I'm just saying this because Becky is one of my closest friends and because I do networking, my training myself. But the truth is, networking and the good things that come to you through networking is actually been scientifically proven. Dr. Richard Weissman is. I think he's sort of like the prime minister of science or something in the United Kingdom, and he wrote a book called The Luck Factor, and he mentioned networking as one of the luckiest things you can do for your business because as a scientist he tried to deconstruct luck and explain whether or not it existed, and he realized that luck as we humans recognize it does exist, but we have complete control over how lucky we get. Now there's a distinct difference between luck and random chance, and what he said about luck is that we set up situations that bring us positive results. And networking is the single most positive situation that you can set up in your life to bring you the most results. The reason for that is that when you have a wide circle of acquaintance of people who know of you, and think well of you, then good things are likely to come your way. As a matter of fact, many people have said to me, how did you, Ronnie, a business coach, a marketing coach in private practice, a for-profit business, how did you become a tenant in the Greater Vancouver Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, really.
Because it's a really sweet situation, I got to tell you. And I said, well, I'm just lucky, I guess. But that luck came from having a relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, which stretches back 10 years. And I've been doing much of their networking and marketing training for them. And when I was moving my office and asked the vice president of membership if she knew of a great office for me, she said, you have got to move into the chamber. And I thought she was kidding. But it turns out she was not kidding, and I am the only for-profit business now here in the chamber, and I am because we have a great relationship, and I support the chamber, and I support the business community at large through my business, and that's how I got here, and that is pure luck. But yeah, I got to tell you, though, not all networking is quite that lucky. There are some people who come at networking in a completely different way. And as a matter of fact, Becky, I'd like to share with you the worst networking mistake that I've ever seen. Now, I know you've been with I Take the Lead well over 10 years. You have seen it all, heard it all, and we've laughed about a lot of that.
I
know. But, one of the things I love about your blog is that you call it networking is not selling, and that is absolutely true. But so many people out there think that networking is really about selling. I think that networking is about connecting to serve, share, and support, and by golly, that makes you lucky. But I remember one time, I just got to say this one thing. A lot of people tell me networking doesn't work for me, and it's because they go into a networking environment thinking about making sales. And the problem with that is that the networking environment is wonderful to get known, liked, and trusted. It's wonderful to create relationships with power partners, with peers, and also with prospects. But the truth is, you are the least likely to run across a prospect as you are to run across a power partner. Now, what do I mean by power partners? Power partner is another business that is complementary to yours in some way. So usually that means that a power partner serves the same clientele you do. For example, my clientele is a small business, well, small businesses. So the small business owner, very often it's a woman in a service-based business. The woman's over 40, and about 50% of them work from home. So that's my market. Becky is a power partner of mine, as is I Take the Lead, because my ideal client is part of your client base as well. And so we have a reciprocal arrangement so that we can share leads with each other. And this is what you really want to be looking for when you are out there networking. But a lot of people are thinking networking is a speed sales opportunity. I went to a networking group, probably my very first big networking group, and funnily enough, it was a chamber mixer. It was a gigantic one, and this I was super nervous, and but I was quite relieved when this gal approached me and welcomed me. She was one of the volunteer hostesses, and she asked me her name, my name, and I told her, and she said, what do you do? So I was really excited. I got my elevator speech out, and then I asked her what she did, and she told me that she represented a line of skincare and cosmetics sold only through direct sales, and had I heard of it? And I was really excited. I thought, yeah. And I said, not only have I heard of it, I'm a customer. I'm wearing the lipstick right now. And had I been any less nervous, I would have noticed that she was not as pleased as I would have thought that I was familiar with her product. And so she kind of quizzed me. She said, oh, really? Who's your rep? Of course, yeah. Well, like I wouldn't know my own rep. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, oh, it's Nien Wei Show. You must know Nien Wei. And the gal said, no, I don't. But I guess I don't need this anymore. And she handed me back my business card. And I was absolutely astonished, and I was nervous and didn't really know what to do. So I must have looked like a complete idiot, because she looked at me and she told me to keep it because I might need it someday. And I was just thinking, this is crazy. Um, and I was not only offended, but I was flummoxed. I mean, what the heck do you do with that? Because this gal so obviously misunderstood the point of networking. And the point of networking is to create relationships and to look for people that you can do business with. Now, just because she couldn't sell me a lipstick didn't mean that I couldn't refer her. I mean, good heavens, she was a whole generation older than I am, and I'd be happy to refer her to other gals. And especially those who don't want a younger, wilder makeup representative like I have in Nien Wei. But she didn't give me that really opportunity because she didn't want to know me. She didn't want my business card because I worked with a competitor, which is really, really stupid. I mean, on many levels. Because the truth is, I could have referred business to her. We could have actually worked together. She wouldn't have been my makeup rep, but it could have been a positive relationship. Now, I don't want to go into detail about how I wrote a blog post about this and how it was how it was picked up by many national outlets. But I do want to mention that I talked to some folks about it. Some people actually called me and said, "Yeah, I read your article in the paper because the local business journal picked it up." And they said, "Well, was it me?" And I said, "Well, no, it wasn't you, but why would you think it was you? Why would you return someone's business card if they already have, like a computer guy?" And the best answer they could come up with is, well, I'm not trying to poach clients. Well, this isn't about poaching clients. This is about having a lot of connections that we can refer to. Because the truth is, not everybody has the kind of computer you work on. Not everybody is within your service range. And what if the client gets mad at this computer person, or has a problem they can't solve, or this guy's not available, or whatever? There are many reasons to be connected with people. Some of them, of course, will be to work together, but the best reason is to network. We are very willing to share about, to give people referrals, certainly more willing to refer than we are to buy. And if you refuse to refer and don't want to have a relationship, you have just closed yourself off from a huge source of potential revenue. So this is really what I think is the worst networking mistake ever, and that is treating networking like a speed sales situation and deciding if I can't sell to you because you're already buying from someone like me, then you and I can't be friends. Because that
I
is really
agree.
stupid. That is just crazy. And as a matter of fact, like I was just saying a few minutes ago, when you are out there networking, really who you're looking for is not the prospects, because the truth is, out of the entire world, only some people are going to be prospects, ready, willing, and able to pay, stay, and refer for what it is you have to sell. However, you're going to meet a ton of people every day who are in complementary businesses who can refer to you, or who are actually your competitors, you might think, who simply know their own specialty or niche so well that they're happy to refer anyone who doesn't fit that over to you, which is something that I did myself, which has worked extremely well. So anyway, that's the worst networking mistake. Now let me talk about a little bit about this process and about where I started. I started this networking process at the very beginning of my business. It was about 15 years ago, Becky, and I had just come off a 5-year stint as a marketing consultant working for big companies. And I knew I was going to work in the small business arena, but I didn't have any connections. I didn't know anybody. I just had a fire in my belly to go after this. Well, actually, I did have one thing. I had a stack of business cards on my on my desk. And I'm willing to bet you that at least half the people on this webinar today have a stack of business cards someplace. And let me tell you, those business cards are pure gold for you. And not because these people are prospects, but because they are potential referral partners for you. So here's what I did. The first thing I did was I counted all of the cards, and I had 63 business cards. So the stack looked very much like this stack right here. And I asked myself, what could I do with 63 business cards? Shouldn't I be going to a meeting? And I realized now that the meeting is just a place to make connections, but what happens after the meeting, which is where the real networking comes in. So I realized that I had to get to know people, but I didn't want to call them and say, give me some business. So I thought, what can I give so that I can get something back? And I realized that the one thing I could do was give referrals, because I had planned a very aggressive program of networking. I was going to be out there meeting people and networking up a storm. So I realized, okay, so I can call these people. Now, I call each and every person who I had a business card for. I made 63 phone calls. Now, because I'm a little bit of an introvert, and because the thought of making those phone calls really scared me, I wrote down a little script. And the script really helped me get through these calls, and also it helped me manage my nervousness, and it made sure that I got right to the point. Now here's a little something. Here's what my script sounds like. The first thing I asked, well, first, I called someone, and I gave them a context for our relationship. I would say something like, we met briefly last month, and I got your business card. And then I would say, is this a good time for a quick chat? And I said, okay, great. Thank you. I know you're busy. Let me make this quick. So here's why I'm calling. I've got a couple questions for you. Number one, are you accepting new clients? And most people would say, yeah, baby. And so, okay, number two, yeah. But if sometimes I've actually called people and they said no. I said, okay, good to know. Would you be willing to refer your overflow clients?
Oh yeah,
or overflow process? Yeah. So the second question, so if they say, yeah, I'm accepting new clients, I say, great. Would you be willing to accept qualified referrals from me? And usually they say, yeah, I sure would. And then I would say, great. How about we get together so that you can teach me how to refer qualified prospects to you? And of course, I'll return the favor. I'll teach you how to refer business back to me. We can do each other some good. And most people were really open to that. As a matter of fact, pretty much everybody was. I'm not going to lie about this. Everyone's like, yeah, that sounds great. So I started making these phone calls. And it was it was quite a learning experience. So the first thing that I learned was about the meetings. My very first meetings were in my home. In those days, it was 15 years ago, I still had a home office, and it was a bedroom in my house. But I felt really weird about inviting people upstairs to essentially the bedroom area of my home. So I met people in my living room that first day, and I was really uncomfortable about it, and not just because my dogs were there. At that point, I had two dogs, and they were scary looking, to a bulldog and a mutt, and they were scary looking to people. But what really clinched it for me was when some guy knocked on the door, and I barely even remembered him, but I'd only met him that one time, and he showed up at my doorstep with a bottle of wine. And I know, that's right, Becky.
Yeah,
And I thought,
wrong message.
exactly, we've got our wires crossed here, baby. So immediately I rescheduled appointments. So no longer in my home, I was going to meet people in their offices. And that didn't work very well either, because people were taking phone calls and doing other stuff, and maybe even doing a little bit of looking at email. And it didn't work. Well, by the third day, what I learned was I had to have the meetings in a neutral third place. And it's funny that, so it couldn't be my home, it couldn't be my office or their home or office. It had to be in a third place. And we all know what the third place is: Starbucks. That's what Howard Schultz, CEO of Starbucks, says. We want to make Starbucks the third place that people think of going. So homework and Starbucks. So I started meeting people at Starbucks. I actually met people over in the Portland area on the Starbucks that used to be at 19th and Hawthorne, because it was convenient, and not a lot of people were going there. So that was great. So I started meeting people at this Starbucks, and I also met people actually on the west side of town too, since I was driving in from Vancouver, and I stacked up the meetings one right after another. So here it is. So I'm going to review the process so far. So I had a bunch of business cards. I wrote a little script where I asked people a couple of questions. Are you accepting new clients? Would you be willing to accept qualified referrals from me? And would you be willing to share qualified referrals to me if it came up? They said sure. So great. So we get together and teach each other how to refer business. Great. If we say yes, then we can meet in a third place, which is usually a coffee shop, sometimes though a library. So I went to the meetings, and I realized that I needed something to document these meetings, because I couldn't rely on my memory. I was going to be meeting 63 people, for heaven's sakes, and probably a lot more. So I had created this little notes sheet for me to take notes. And also, what I realized really quickly was that these notes, when I took these notes, helped me get over my nervousness and that awkwardness about the meeting. It also helped us really stay on track. And people would arrive, and I would say to them, thank you for being here. It's really great to see you. I'm Ronnie, as you recall, and good to see you, Becky. And then I would say, I'm ready to learn how to refer qualified prospects to you. Do you mind if I take notes here? And most people would say, not at all. I'm pleased to do it. So I whipped out my little note sheet and a pen, and I started asking them questions. And the first question, very simple. It's what do you do, and who's a great referral for you? And so the what do you do thing wasn't so bad, but the who's a great referral for you question really threw most people for a loop. Most people said, yeah, anybody with a pulse and a checkbook.
Right.
Yeah, but that's just not true. And so I had to ask a few questions to drill down on that and get them to be really specific. And so, to ask them, who's ready to buy from you right now? Who is motivated to pay you, stay with you, and refer business to you? And so generally they could cough up something. The most important thing here is to find a category of people, because if you just say people, we're all people. What kind of people is what we need to know. Then the next piece is, what is motivating these people to take action now? Because everyone's working with a limited budget, and we have to know when people are serious about doing something new and different, like they're going to refinance their mortgage or buy a new car, or they're looking for a wedding dress, whatever it is. What is it that is motivating them to take action right now? And I wrote that down. And finally, I used to say at the very beginning, what can I tell people about you? What makes you stand out? I had so much trouble with that question that I eventually just nuked it. And I changed that question to, what's the best way for me to refer? And surprisingly, at least to me, a lot of people said, oh, here's my paperwork. Have people fill, yeah, I know. Can you just imagine, fill out this form and fax it and then messenger over some more paperwork? Yeah, that's not going to work. So what I found was the best way to refer was to do it by email. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever seen someone, they're like, oh, I love you, I think you're great, I refer people to you all day long? Like, what? How would I know that?
Right,
And that's
right. Right. When I used to belong to another leads group organization, they used to say
yes, I refer to you all day long. Yeah, really. So, and that's what lead sheets are so good for, right?
right,
So,
right.
yeah. So, but just kind of out there in the wilds, if you're not within the structure of I take the lead, and you haven't got someone in your group that you can actually hand a lead sheet to, it doesn't really do any good to say, call my friend Becky, because people are going to forget. So, what I decided to do was to introduce people by email. And I did it a really specific way. And I introduced, instead of saying, Becky, here's a hot lead, I would say, Becky, please meet Nancy. Nancy had some questions about leads groups. And as the owner of I Take the Lead, I know that you're an expert and you could answer her questions. Nancy, this is Becky. She knows all there is to know about leads group. And so please, I'm sure she can help you. Ladies, here's your contact information, discuss. That's the way I learned how to introduce people. Okay, so, and I'm trying to gather that information in these little notes. So I'm doing this, and what's interesting is, we were going to meet for 20 minutes to a half an hour. I'm taking notes for about 20, 25 minutes, so that gives me like 3 to 5 minutes to wrap up the whole thing. So here's what I did. So I have taken notes. They've watched me do this. Then I pull out a blank note sheet and hand it to them. And I don't ask them if they want it. If I just hold it there, they will take it. And then I ask them if they want to use my pen. They've seen me take notes, so they kind of feel obliged. Now, here is the deal. They will take notes, and this will help them focus and remember the information that you're telling them. Of course, you have to be really on the ball and ready to teach the other person to be able to refer to you. So it was really easy for me. So I would just go through it real quickly. So what do? I would ask myself the questions if I needed to. I help small businesses attract more clients. And who's a good referral? Well, a small office or home-based business owner usually services often a woman over 40, such as a chiropractor or an insurance rep. How will you know it's time to refer? Well, you're going to hear them say one of two things. Either they love what they do, but they hate to market, or this economy's killing their business and they need help marketing. If you hear either of those things, simply introduce us by email. I will take it from there. So that's how this went. So that's how all of these meetings went.
Can I ask you a question real quick before you move on? Because Catherine asked, the people that you called, the 63 people that you called, and I think I know the answer, but they were not all in the same area of business. It was a variety of different professions, correct?
Yes, it was a variety of different professions. That's a great question. And not all of them were even business owners. Is that just amazing?
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, some of them actually worked for big businesses. Like there were people I met in the HR departments and the marketing departments, all different types of people. And it was amazing because some people were not looking for leads. Some people were looking for jobs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a really cool thing.
Right. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome. And I just want to mention that these notes are available for anyone to download for free from my website at DIYmarketingcenter.com/networking, the number 4 newbies, networking for newbies. And so if you go there, you scroll down to the bottom of the page. This sheet is available for you to use for free. You can't modify it or sell it, but other than that, go ahead. Please use it. So here's the result, Becky. After 2 weeks, I had done a little over 24 meetings. I'd drunk a lot of coffee, I'd met a lot of people, but I had nothing. And I ask myself, what am I doing wrong? What is going on here? And I really had to think. So I started reviewing the steps. Okay, so I'm connecting with people at meetings. I met these people. I have their business cards. So step 2, I set up these one-on-one meetings to teach each other, teach them, teach me how to recognize and refer qualified prospects. What else is there to this process? Is there a step 3? And I thought about it, and I realized, oh yeah, there's a little something. There is definitely something that I am missing here. And the thing that I was missing was that I was not referring. I knew how to do it, but I wasn't doing it. And that's actually how I got to this process of introductions by email. I didn't always have hot leads that you could say, but I knew that when people had questions, when they mentioned that they were going to be doing such and such a thing, or they had questions about, whatever, I could absolutely connect them with someone that I had met. And so let me go over this again. So here is what I started doing. I started doing all of these introductions by email. So I'd send an email to both people. The person that I was referring to, that's my referral partner, and the person I am referring, or the referred person, that's the person that I think can be helped. So I send an email to both of them. It's from me to both people. Then I introduce the referral partner. So let's say that's Becky. So this is Becky. She is an expert in leads groups and networking. And then I introduce the referred person. This is Nancy. She has some questions about leads groups and networking. Then I include the contact information for both of them. And usually what I include is the full name, because often people have these goofball emails that don't say their names. So that they're, might be like breezygirl@gmail.com or something. And her name might really be Mary Smith. So you just want to make sure that you've got the correct name. So I've got the name, usually the phone number, sometimes the website, especially if the website is not reflected in the email. So I've got all of this information so they can check each other out. They can look at each other's websites, and then they can get connected. And I've given them the reason why I'm connecting them. And then I tell them I leave the follow-up in your capable hands. So that is the entire process. Then I continued my networking. I networked like this for 6 weeks, between 3 and 4 hours a day, most business days. I took weekends off because I'm not a saint. I had over during this process, I had well over 70 meetings. I went to several networking meetings during the meeting. I gave over 75 referrals.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I decided I was going to give a referral for everybody I ever met. I didn't always give everybody a referral. I mean, sometimes I would give one person 10 referrals and 5 people no referrals, but that was just the deal. I wasn't able to. And I received 48 referrals. And so I had 48, well, actually probably fewer, 40-something. And not everybody that was referred to me ended up being even worth talking to in a consultation. But anyway, I got 48 referrals. I had around 40 plus sales consultations. And within 42 days, at 6 weeks, I had 29 new clients. And let me tell you, it was exhausting. So let's go over this process one more time. So we start with meeting people at networking and leads meetings and getting their business cards. Then we do this, what I call the power partner, the one-on-one meetings. Now, if I were doing this all over again, Becky, I would eliminate fully half of the people of those 63 business cards. I would totally focus on the business cards of people who were power partners for me, who serve the same clientele. It's a lot faster.
Right. I understand.
Yeah, and the reason for this is, well, twofold. I did actually meet with somebody who wanted to work with me. And I was like, great. So let's talk about it. And we got him all signed up, and he wrote me a check, and he walked out of this meeting, and he happened to know the guy who was coming for the next meeting. And he said, yeah, watch your wallet. You know,
Oh my word.
yeah, she'll get your, she'll have you paying her before you leave. And I was like, oh my God. And I realized that accepting money at this meeting, turning a networking meeting into a sales meeting, was going to ruin my reputation.
Oh,
So from that,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So from that point on, Becky, when someone told me they were excited and wanted to work with me, I said, I'm excited too. Let's get together later. I've got another meeting coming up right now and I can't meet until, later today or whatever. And that never cost me a client. But it would have cost me credibility and clients had I turned a networking meeting into a sales meeting. Okay, so this is back to the process. So we do these one-on-one power partner meetings, then we refer as frequently as we can, and you might even think of them as introductions rather even than referrals, and then you stay in touch with people. A great way to stay in touch is listed at the bottom of my little networking sheet, and that is to add each other to your newsletter lists. And that way you can stay in touch. You can see what they're doing. They can see what you're doing. And if they happen to change the focus of their business, you'll be alerted because it'll be mentioned in their newsletter. So this is the entire process. So now, let's talk a little bit about some of the lessons that I learned. I've got the I've got this stuff here very specifically. Number one is you definitely want to use the blank sheets, the little networking sheets that I have. And you want to make sure that the other person writes down your information just as you write down their information. You can keep those sheets in a notebook so that you've always got that information. And then, of course, you can add it to your CRM so that you've got that stuff available electronically as well. But you definitely want to take written notes. And you want to use those note sheets to guide the conversation so the conversation doesn't go long. And that's why I've got the watch there. I used to take my watch and lay it on the table because I didn't want to turn this into a 3-hour meeting, nor was it supposed to be a free session. This was, how can we help each other through referrals? And I kept the meeting to the time as well as I could, and people respected that. The next lesson I learned is represented by this cup of coffee, which is, for crying out loud, drink decaf. I got to tell you, if you're going to be having meetings in the afternoons, if you're anything like me, and I'm very sensitive to caffeine, you're going to be completely jacked up by the time that third meeting comes around, and you won't sleep that night.
Oh,
So,
right. Yeah.
so definitely drink decaf when you can. And remember, though, these are networking meetings. These are not coffee meetings. Coffee meetings imply a social aspect to the relationship, which I frankly didn't have time to do. I was busy. I needed to build my business, and I did. And I did because I really focused on the information I needed to gather, and I guided the conversation very carefully because I had the little notes to tell me what to ask next. And then I think the final thing that I learned here is that this process was a complete reflection of the philosophy that I hold very close to my heart, which is and I've got the little quote here from Zig Ziglar. And Zig said, you can have anything, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. And networking is our perfect opportunity to help tons of other people get loads of qualified prospects coming to them. And if we can help other people do that, they will help us receive the same. It is a beautiful, easy, relationship-centered process, and I strongly recommend it. And I'm not the only person who has done this. As a matter of fact, a ton of my clients have used this, and many people in the I Take the Lead organization have used this process to get started. And as a matter of fact, I remember the very first time I spoke for I Take the Lead, Becky, there was a cute little blonde gal in the
Oh,
audience, and it was her very first I Take the Lead meeting, and she snuck in. She actually had a full-time job, and she snuck in on her lunch hour to hear me speak because she wanted to be able to build a business. She wanted to go out on her own and create a website business, and that was, I think, in June. And she got my little tool that I handed out, and she heard this presentation, and then she took it to heart. And within 5 months, actually about 4 months, she was able to quit her full-time job, and she's been supporting herself full-time ever since with her own business. And this is how she started. And
well, and
this is
that
what she
that time
did.
she was supporting her family. So yeah,
Yes,
I know
she was.
exactly who it was. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
that's
They're supporting
right.
Yeah. All righty.
So,
So I've just blazed through this. And I do want to say that if anyone happens to be in the Portland, Vancouver area, and especially I Take the Lead members, you are more than welcome to join me for Networking for Newbies. Not only do I teach this process, but a ton of other really valuable networking tools and tips. And there is the link right there. As you can see, DIYmarketingcenter.com/networking for newbies. It's a it's a fun and easy class. And as a matter of fact, I believe that brand new members to I Take the Lead are welcome to attend for free for the
right.
first time.
And especially up in our Seattle area, if you're a brand new member, or if you're a member and you've never been, just email me and I can give you the code as well, so you can go one time for free. And then it's reduced. It's reduced after that
Yes,
to $5, I think it is. So yeah.
that is correct, Becky.
Right. Can I ask you now? It's the second Friday of every month. It's in the chamber office, which they'll get that information if they sign up. And what time does it go? It goes from 9:30 to 11. Is that it?
Well, it's 9:30 to 11:30.
11:30. Okay.
Yes.
9:30 to 11:30. Second Friday of every month.
Yes, it is. And it has been running continuously for over 5 years. And it is probably the longest lasting and most popular networking training. Well, apart from I Take the Lead, but we do service I Take the Lead as one of
Absolutely. Yeah.
our favored partners in this entire area. And it's very popular. People enjoy it. We have a lot of fun. And it's a great way to learn how to network with authenticity, with integrity, and to do it in a fun way that brings you business.
Absolutely.
So this is perfect for people who are ready to stop wasting time and start making things happen through networking.
Absolutely. And I know I always recommend it highly. So we have a couple questions there if we have time.
We do.
Good. Well, first of all, so I hope it's okay. Laura said she's really enjoying this. So I forget where she said it, but she said thank you very much. She's really been enjoying the webinar. Catherine had a question. What was the one thing you said you would do different with the cards? You said cutting them in half, but narrowing it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
I visited with a lot of people. So it was just like anybody who I had a card with. And so these days, if I had to do it again, and just so you know, I have done this process twice since then just to test it. Because I wanted to see if it really did work as well as I thought it did, because I've always thought, man, I should write a book about this. And so, yeah, so here's the thing that I would do differently, Catherine. I would go through these cards and ask myself, which of these people is a good power partner for me? And when I say power partner, I usually mean someone who can refer to me, because someone who can refer clients to me every day of the week for months and years on end is always better than a single prospect. Someone who's going to send me 100 clients, or someone who's going to give me one, maybe with 1 or 2 referrals. So I look at those type of people as power partners. For me, as a marketing coach, those are going to be people like Becky with I Take the Lead. It'll be people who do websites for small businesses, accounting for small businesses, whatever type of company serves a small business owner is a great power partner for me. Now, let's say you're in real estate. Your power partners are obviously going to be, let's say you're a realtor, then they're going to be mortgage brokers and house painters and possibly interior designers and inspectors, and just a ton of different people who work with the same client either before, during, or after your work with them.
Okay, and just for our members' sake, I Take the Lead members, when you receive the new member packet, we actually include some of the most common power partners, and so you just find your category on there, and you'll have an idea of who you want to be trying to invite to get to your meetings, so that they'll join. So thank you,
That's a great idea. Oh, you're
Yeah.
welcome.
And so, Catherine, I hope that helped. And then Amber says, how do you match up the people you know with the business cards?
How do I match up the people I know with their business cards?
Yeah.
Did you see me? So how do I recognize the people?
No, how do you imagine? I think she means like when you set out, you had the 63 business cards, you had made 24 connections, and then you set out to connect them to other people. It was based on what they had said to you, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so whatever they're an expert in, and I assume if you're making your living doing something, you are an expert in it. You might not be the world's foremost expert, you are definitely an expert. And so that's how, people will be talking about something like, oh yeah, we're thinking about and so here, actually, here's a super question. This is from my Rockstar networking. Here is a super powerful question that you can ask at a networking event to figure out, to find people to refer to. You can ask people what's new.
Oh, yeah.
Super simple question. And people will be like, oh, well, it's really great. My daughter's getting married and we're going to, husband and I are going on vacation. And, well, first we got to get our mortgage refinances. We've got one of these adjustable rate mortgages. So great, I've got 3 pieces of information. I can send this person an introduction to someone who does mortgages. You mentioned you were thinking about refinancing your mortgage. Meet Pete. He's a mortgage broker and he's an expert. He might be able to help you. You mentioned your daughter's getting married. Meet, so-and-so who, meet Nancy, who is a wedding planner or a wedding dress designer, whatever. She might be able to give you some great tips. You mentioned that you're going on vacation. Meet Anne. She's a travel agent and specializes in cruises. And I know she's got some great deals. So I started listening and referring whenever I possibly could. Now, sometimes people would ask, they'd be just mentioning stuff like, oh gosh, I wish I knew a such and such. And I would always say, I know one. Actually, I know 3. And I think the most referrals I've ever sent to one person is 3 people. And this has happened a lot when people want to hire a lawyer or a coach or something that I happen to know a lot of. And so generally I can send them multiple options. And here's what really gets me, Becky, is the people that I copy on this. So let's say you told me that you wanted to work with a career coach. Let's say you're just graduating from college, or your son's just graduating from college, and you want a career coach that you want to hire for your son as a graduation present. So let's say I send you an email with 3 career coaches. I'd be what you would think that each of those career coaches would follow up with you and say, yeah, here's the process. Let's get started. Let me meet your son. Let's talk about whether we can go forward. But unfortunately, a lot of people that I introduced by email would just let it sit there.
Oh, I know.
Isn't that absolutely crazy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. I've done the same. I have. Oh, I have to mute. Just
Okay, no problem.
Oh, never mind. I'll just, yeah. There you go. It wasn't important. Well, good, because I want to keep asking questions. Okay. Oh, Amber said, thank you very much. It's exactly what she wanted to know.
Good.
So she was the one who was asking. And then Dev says, I'm glad to know someone else makes or made notes, when you were making the notes, when you were making the notes so that you would call those individuals. They said they used to feel embarrassed that they used these notes because others that they know are pretty much impromptu. But I think there's a lot of us who need to have notes to keep us focused.
Well, exactly. And the problem is, especially when you are meeting with people who are running their own businesses, they're so excited that you're interested in listening to them talk that it's much more fun to talk to you than to go back to work. And they will eat up hours of your time if you allow them. And sometimes, I've had people call me and say, Ronnie, I love your process, but it takes, every meeting is 2.5 hours long.
Oh, I know.
And I'm thinking, well,
to you.
yeah, what are you doing? That's crazy. You can't afford to waste 2.5 hours on people. You can do 30 minutes and there's, keep a little bit of extra time in case the meetings run over. But, and give yourself a break between meetings. But for heaven's sakes, no meeting should run longer than 45 minutes max. You can have another meeting if you need to, but you should be able to gather the right amount of information and get to know the person enough so that you can refer with confidence within 45 minutes. Now, keep in mind that I just say refer with confidence. I don't mean that you need to guarantee the performance of the person you're referring to. So all we know is what we read on their business card and what we see and hear in that short meeting. We are not guaranteeing anybody's capability or results. We're simply providing a referral. And that's another important point that I wanted to make, that I want people to remember, that you don't have to vet people per se. I mean, I've met a lot of people at these meetings that I will not refer to because I think they're weird or crazy, or they're not who they represent themselves to be, or at least not as knowledgeable as I would like. But other than that, if the person seems fairly reasonable, then I'm good referring. And we can all make our own decisions about who we're going to spend money with.
Right, right. Yes, Amber, the webinar is being recorded. Everybody who's on here, everybody who's not, we had actually over 150 people who registered, several of them knowing that they wouldn't be able to be here today. So they are going to, you'll all get the replays today. Amber wanted to know that. And Jennifer says, how do you keep your lead without being annoying? Example, she's a travel agent. She has people say, yes, I'm interested, would like to be booked. So she sends information, they don't respond.
Yeah. Okay. So that usually has to do with the expectations and the process. And so I recommend against just sending people random information, and I don't mean that your information is random per se, but when somebody wants to, has some questions about travel, you need to have a meeting with them. And that can be a virtual meeting, but at that meeting, you can decide whether or not you can help that person and whether or not it's time to take steps going forward and to agree on what are the next steps. But if a lot of times people will take stuff and then not do anything.
Right. Well, and it sounds like they're tire kickers. They're just looking around. They're not. That goes back to with a virtual meeting or a meeting in person. Then you find out how maybe they are getting married and going to have a honeymoon. And that's what it sounds like to me anyway,
right,
after being around for a while. Yeah. So no. Oh, that's good advice. Thank you. Joanne asked, do you keep the data on referrals to go back a week or two later to ask each party how things worked out? Oh, I see. So, but when you talk referrals, you're talking more connections.
Yes.
But
so
do you
these are
get data and ask how did it work out? I sent the wedding planner to you. Do you do that, or did you do that?
I did for a long time, and it was really depressing.
Oh, wow.
I discovered that a lot of times people said, oh, I never called them back. Or I
Oh,
never
wow.
did anything. And I realized that it really is none of my business. And especially if I'm going to refer someone to, say, a grief counselor or to a divorce lawyer or something, it's not my business whether or not things worked out.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
good. Yeah.
so I've just decided, so I'm going to make the connection and release it. And I have found that when things did work out, sometimes people have thanked me. Actually, one time someone sent me a small gift, which is fantastic. And that gives me something to talk about when I see them next. But it's not my business. And I really don't want to focus on that sort of follow-up. I have enough stuff to follow up on my own.
Right, right. Oh, I know. Exactly. Oh, I hear you there. Well, good. That's a good answer. Thank you. And Melissa wants to know, what would you recommend as the best database, and I say my dad is funny, database for keeping business cards? Example, she has camp card, it limits to 28 cards. So do you have something that you use?
Well, yes, I do. And I use a service called All Clients. It's allclients.com, and that came from the real estate industry, and I really like it. However, there are a bunch of other ones. What you are really looking for is something that's easy for you to use and that you will use. And then that's really the key. There are a ton out there that are actually free. I would caution against using an email client like MailChimp as a CRM, because it isn't a good CRM. It's that's just for email. I would look for something that included email if you wanted it, but that was really able to keep a database.
Right. And so all clients does that?
Yes, it does. And it's
very
great.
nice.
It's super easy. And the nice thing is they give you the opportunity to get it for free. If you get a certain number of referrals, then essentially it's free. So for example, if you want to try it out for free, you can. They've got a 2-week free, and you can get a coupon from me to get $60 off per year. I think it's about 25 bucks a month, but you can get $5 off every month with my coupon code.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how would they get that? Could they email you, or how would they?
Well, you will find it on my website, which is at veronicanoise.com. So I don't actually happen to have it up here. Well, you know what? I bet I could. I wonder if I can go to it so you can see. Let me stop sharing for just a moment.
Sure.
Okay. Alrighty. And now let me, because I have a whole bunch of actually really terrific resources that I'd be happy to share. Okay. Yeah. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share again, if that's okay with you, Becky.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oops. Just a sec. Let me see if I can have, trying to get this. It's not picking up the other website. Yeah. So it's Veronica Noize, Veronica with a K, Noise with a Z.com. And then you want to go under resources and Ronnie's business tools. And there is a link there. So it's super easy to find. Let me see if I can put it in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, well, I put veronicanoise.com in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what? It looks like I'm the only one in the chat here. So I think I'm in the wrong place.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. So I've got that. And that is posted.
Right. And then and John Lee posted, he said he uses Salesforce, $25 a month. How do you get it for 25? I think when I looked, it was like a couple hundred. I must be looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, I haven't looked at Salesforce for a really long time, but it used to be a really great thing. Right. And I'm sure it still is. I'm sure it still is, and it sounds super affordable too. But yeah, that's a CRM, and something like that is really important. It makes your business easier, even though there's a lot of effort going into the setup.
Right. Yeah. Oh, Laura and Melissa both found it fine. So thank you.
Good.
Well, we're like 2 minutes over. Do you have time for one more?
I do, Becky.
Okay. Well, because Joanne, she said, wouldn't it be helpful to know that there are people out there that you shouldn't refer to? So she was the one that was asking about, do you follow up with how the referrals went and all that?
Well, it would be, but I got to tell you, I'm kind of too busy with my own business. And I'm a one-woman show here, and I've got over 100 clients, so I don't follow up too much on referrals anymore.
Right.
And and I don't mean to sound flip, but it would be nice if I had the time and the bandwidth to do that, but I don't. I trust that people are going to be that are going to do well. Now, of course, if I hear negative feedback, and it's so easy to get negative feedback these days because we're all on social media, people can tell me instantly. Then I'm going to investigate. But for the most part, I don't worry about it because I believe that most people are actually very cool, and most people do a great job, or at least the very best they can. And so I feel confident with the referrals that I give that the people I'm referring to will do well by the people I've referred to them.
Absolutely. Oh, I agree. And Ronnie, I know you've referred several to us. over the years, a bunch. And she does just like that. She connects us and does an introduction, and okay, it's up to the two of you to take it from there. You know, and we've had a lot of, and we've sent a lot of members to Ronnie, and we've had a lot of members join because Ronnie sent them to us. So it's mutual. So. But I want to thank you, since we are running out of time. I know you've got a really tight schedule. Thank you so much. Everybody has really been enjoying it. I know you can't see the chat, obviously, but a lot of great responses. And I just want to thank you very much. I wish you could hear everybody's applause.
Thank you, Becky. It has been my pleasure. Well, you know, it's always fun when we get together. I really enjoy it.
I know. And I'll see you for our little get together at the end of the month. I forget the date, but
that's right.
I'll see you soon.
I will see you very soon, Becky. I look forward to it. Thanks a bunch.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for being here, and you have a happy networking week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.